The complications of Brexit in the UK. So let's break it down for you as best we can. Well, just 2 days before the United Kingdom was due to leave the European Union, the March 29th cliff edge has been moved by 2 weeks. The earliest that Brexit will now happen is the 12th of April. This means the risk of a disorderly no-deal Brexit still cannot be ruled out. Prime Minister Theresa May recently set out the next stages for the so-called divorce process and promised 3 key votes. So let's take a good look at how the UK found itself at this particular crossroads. Our producer Sifiso Skhosana compiled this report.
The British people have voted to leave the European Union, and their will must be respected.
It's June 23, 2016. The United Kingdom's 17.4 million people vote to leave the European Union. But in order to understand just how the UK found itself on the crossroad, we need to understand key events leading to this moment. It was during the years of the Great World Wars I and II. Britain, politically and economically isolated. In 1957, the Treaty of Rome was established, signed by France, West Germany, Belgium, Italy, Luxembourg and the Netherlands. They established the European Economic Community, what we know today as the European Union. This was in a bid to prevent a repeat of such turmoil. In 1961, Britain's Conservative Prime Minister Harold Macmillan sought membership of the EEC, but French President at the time Charles de Gaulle blocked Britain's accession. He claimed Britain's relations with the United States at the time would impede on the European project. The UK eventually joined the EEC in 1973 following de Gaulle's resignation in 1969. In 1975, Margaret Thatcher backed the campaign to stay in the bloc, but her own Conservative Party became increasingly divided over the issue. The PM's own relationship with EU leaders was tense at times, citing too much power being centralized in EU institutions. She attacked the idea of a single currency, and therefore Britain opted to stick to its own currency, the pound sterling, instead of the euro. But in recent times, the tenure of Conservative Prime Minister David Cameron was also ultimately defined by Europe. In his election manifesto, Cameron promised an in-out referendum on a renegotiated deal on membership in the party's 2015 elections. Though Britain's biggest parties backed the campaign to stay in, people voted to leave by 52 to 48% in June 2016. Cameron resigned the morning after the vote. Enter Mother Theresa May, invoking Article 50, the formal EU divorce notice in March 2017. She set the divorce ball in motion. She established the exit date of March 29, 2019 for Britain to leave with or without the deal.
The Article 50 process is now underway, and in accordance with the wishes of the British people, the United Kingdom is leaving the European Union. This is an historic moment from which there can be no turning back. Britain is leaving the European Union. We are going to make our own decisions and our own laws. We are going to take control of the things that matter most to us, and we are going to take this opportunity to build a stronger, fairer Britain, a country that our children and grandchildren are proud to call home.
Matters came to a head when in January this year, lawmakers voted to reject a Brexit deal she had proposed. It was the biggest parliamentary defeat for a government in modern British history. The main concern was securing legally binding reassurances on the so-called Northern Irish border backstop. It's an insurance policy aimed at avoiding post-Brexit controls on the United Kingdom's border with the EU member Ireland. Many Brexiteers fear the backstop will trap the UK in the EU's orbit and want guarantees that it will not. It's however not as simple as that. The much-anticipated European Union summit was held in Brussels last Friday. High on the agenda was the crisis facing Britain's withdrawal from the EU bloc of nations. Theresa May made a plea to EU leaders asking for a Brexit delay that she got. She'd earlier told the British public that a delay was a matter of great personal regret to her.
2 years on, MPs have been unable to agree on a way to implement the UK's withdrawal. As a result, we will now not leave on time with a deal on the 29th of March. This delay is a matter of great personal regret for me. And of this I am absolutely sure you, the public, have had enough.
In the meantime, trading partners such as the Southern African Customs Union are still not clear as to just how severe the EU exit will impact on bilateral trade and investments. Here at home, Trade and Industry Minister Rob Davies says the car-making industry will suffer the most. He says there is a likelihood that South African products such as wine, fruit, vegetables, meat will still enter the UK duty-free even after Brexit.
Third time Mrs. May is lucky and they get it through. Then what happens is that on the 29th of March, Britain leaves the EU, but all the trade arrangements, including with third parties, including then with us, that the EU has will stay in place until the end of 2020, during which time the UK is supposed to negotiate a trade arrangement with the EU, right?
British politics are at fever pitch. Nearly 3 years since the 2016 referendum, it's still unclear just how, when or if Brexit will ever take place. On Monday, MPs voted to seize control of the business of Brexit in an effort to find a majority for any Brexit option. There have been suggestions that naming a date for Theresa May's departure as PM could boost support for the deal. Just as well, she also succeeded in seducing EU leaders for a delay. Will she triumph with her pursuit to officially divorce the union of 28 member states with her career as PM still intact? Sifiso Skhosana for SABC News, Johannesburg.